What's going on? It's Kevin with Optimize Essentials, and today I want to talk to you about the dangers of tight calves. Calves are often a very tight muscle that is overlooked because we simply just aren't aware that our calves are tight. So let's start things off with reflecting on whether or not you've ever experienced any heel pain, heel spurs, shin splints, plantar fasciitis, or Achilles tendonitis. Now I ask this because tight calves is related to all of these conditions. It may not necessarily be the cause of it, but it's definitely related. And if you have either one of these, there's a very good chance that you have tight calves. So let's start things off by also figuring out, why do our calves get tight, right? Our calves get tight because, one, we sit all day. We sit all day, and in this position, our feet are plantar flexed, all right? When our feet are plantar flexed, what that basically means is it's like this, right? Or it's like this. When we're sitting down, it's plantar flexed, as in you're pointing your foot. So in this position, think about it. My calves are shortened. So dorsiflex, plantar flex, all right? Plantar flex means you're basically pointing. And from that angle, if you notice really what happens is it tightens up. So when we're sitting down, our foot is always in this plantar flex position. And because of that, we lack range of motion, right? So we don't have any mobility. We have poor ranges of motion. We don't have much mobility because we're always sitting and our foot is like that. And then another reason is because of our footwear, right? If you take a look at anyone's shoes nowadays, what happens is our shoe is, the heel is like this, all right? So here's the heel, and it elevates so that the heel actually pushes up on your calf. And remember my foot, right? So what happens? Shoe on, heel pushes up your foot. Now it's shortened again. So if you're having shoes with high heels, especially the ladies, that's a big no-no. If you're wearing high heels 24/7 all the time, you want to make sure those heels aren't that high. I mean, even if they are high, you want to make sure you stretch them every now and then, because I know girls won't be able to give up your high heels. But it's our footwear that's pushing the ankle joint up into our kinetic chain, and then we're shortening the calves. And because of that, our calves get really tight. Now, let's go into the dangers of it, all right? But first, let's talk about the anatomy, or else you won't really understand what's going on. So here's your calf. If you want to see a picture of it, I might link it somewhere, or you can Google it so you have a better idea. But I drew one just so you can have a better understanding, better visual understanding, all right? So here's your calf, all right? Your knees, right here, your calf. So your calf is made up of two muscles. Your gastrocnemius, which is that larger calf muscle on the top, and it looks kind of like a heart, like an upside down heart. It's the larger portion that makes up your calf. And then your soleus, which is the bottom portion, it's the lower, smaller muscle at the bottom. And both of these intertwine, and kind of get connected to your Achilles tendonitis, which is this blue strap right over here. So if there's any dysfunction, if there's any tightness, if there's any abnormalities, you'll start to experience heel pain, because what happens is that muscle wraps down into your heel. So imagine this is my calf, my gastrocnemius, my soleus, and then my Achilles tendon. So all this wraps into your heel. So if this is tight, imagine that it's just pulling on that ankle bone, right? So if you have tight calves, what happens is that messes with your ankle biomechanics, and you'll experience heel pain. And then if you don't take care of it, eventually that becomes heel spur. So basically what a heel spur is, it's calcium deposits, because your ankle is in a poor biomechanical position. And if you keep walking or keep running on poor biomechanics, you begin to get heel spurs. Now here's where things get really crazy, all right? So your Achilles tendon also connects to your plantar fasciitis, or connects to your plantar fascia. So when the muscles here are pulling on the Achilles tendon, and it's tugging on the bottom of your feet because your plantar fascia is connected to that foot. If it's getting tugged on, and each time you're walking, pow, pow, pow. So imagine that. All these muscles pull in and then it's just smacking each time. Well, eventually that heel gets really worn out and damaged because it's just getting tugged on and there's too much pressure there. And that is how plantar fasciitis gets developed, because the plantar fascia is stretched and it's being pulled into certain positions and being overworked, and it starts to get inflamed, and that's how over time it gets developed into the itis. All right. So how do shin splints occur? Basically the same example. Well, your shin splints. Let's say this is your calf. Your tibialis anterior are up in the top. All right. They're antagonists to your calves. So when your calves are super tight, what happens, instead of your heel coming up, your muscles get, so your body compensates by turning the foot out. Instead of raising the heel up and walking your toes, it turns out, and then what happens is your tibialis is weak, and because it doesn't have that adequate support, it's not doing its job, and it's getting pulled excessively by your calves. Each time you take a walk and you're running, you're doing excessive motion on your shins because the muscles there aren't doing its job, and it's not keeping the shins tight and strong to work in opposition with your calves. So with all that being said, you must strengthen your tibialis anterior so that your foot can come back to its normal position, and you want to stretch out your calves. So what can you do? I'm going to show some pictures of how you can do this, but you basically want to push against the wall, hands against the wall, and then you want to drive your heel into the ground. That's the first stretch. And then the second one is you want to stand on a platform, drive your heels into the ground. So that's going to stretch out two different muscles. One, it's going to stretch out your soleus for the first stretch, and the other one is going to stretch out your gastrocnemius. So those are the two muscles that comprises of your calf, and you want to make sure you stretch those out regularly if you sit a lot, if you run a lot, and basically if you have any type of foot, ankle, or knee problem, because most of these are connected, and it's going to influence you all the way up to your chain. And you can also experience rotation in your pelvis, maybe even elevated pelvis, because you have tight calves. So those are the dangers of having tight calves, and that's all I wanted to share with you today. I'm going to be definitely putting out some more videos, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you got some value out of this. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comment section below, and look forward to hearing back from you guys. Have a wonderful day. Kevin's out. Peace.